I wish you could come outside, but it's too hot. It's so hard to say no.
Yeah, I could not say no. But we're back, and I'm outside right now because it's really, really nice. I'm gonna have to throw these on though because it's really bright and I'm squinting even being in the shade, like looking out that way. But before I even get into what I'm gonna talk about, I got this comment on my last video. So I did what any logical person would do, and I responded to it, and I just said explain, and I got nothing back. So, and that's like pretty much that's like the gist of what happens on the internet, I've realized is, and I'm not saying that this is a comment that I've gotten before, but generally it's something along the lines of like a very vague statement, right? And it's, man, I just hate having to have these. I don't like having to have these on, dude. I don't feel as like connected. God, the wind's picking up. I hope this camera doesn't blow over. It is not like on a stable surface whatsoever. But that's like the gist of most comments on the internet as far as like these really vague statements left as comments. And this happens on every platform. Well, except for TikTok. I haven't gotten anything like that on TikTok, I don't think. But it could be, for example, just something that's like, this video sucks. And I would reply to the comment, okay, why? And then I get left with nothing. The video just sucks because it sucked. It's kind of like that. It's like a super vague statement, and it's just like saying bullshit just to say it. Because I'm always open to criticism. If somebody was like, I didn't like this part of the video because of this, I'd be like, okay. But that's just not the way that the internet works. And That's just not the way that the internet works, and everybody knows that by now. So I, of course, you know, anytime a comment like that is left on my videos, I have to, I hope that bike's not getting picked up still. It probably is, it's fine. It's understandable. It's really nice out right now. If I had a bike, I'd be out on it too. If I had a super nice car, I'd be driving that around right now. I'd be making this video in the car. But of course, I checked this guy's channel, and he's got like 3,000 subscribers, so he's straight mogging the hell out of me there. Like, I've got nothing against, you know, I have no rebuttal to that part, but I just couldn't make it through any of the videos that he posted because they're all, it looked like he just reacts to content, and that's it. Like, that's legitimately it. And as far as I'm concerned, the only way for me to tell what this guy looks like is to look at his YouTube header. And that's not always a telltale sign that that's him or not. I don't know. You want to go in? What are you whining for? Oh God. I gotta find a place to post you up at. What? Alright, I just straight up lost my train of thought. Long story short, this guy didn't respond, and I really wish he would have. I would have loved to have an actual constructive conversation with somebody that's, you know, posting videos the same way that I am. But that's just not, it's not an option, and it makes me so irritated. In other news, I'm like 42.3% sure that I am genuinely on the verge of injuring myself as far as my chest goes. I was actually gonna make this video like a full day vlog again, going to the gym and working out, and then I was like, okay, hold on, let me pump the brakes on this because I have posted 2 of those, and I don't think I've posted a full like workout vlog of any other thing that I've hit besides chest in the last like, I don't know how many months. So I decided against that because at some point it gets completely repetitive, especially when I'm doing the same stuff as normal. It's just I'm changing the weight a little bit every time. So I vetoed that. Next one I make will be like a back and buys day or something, so it's at least interesting. Or so that at least it's like switched up to an extent. I've talked about this a few times, and over the course of the last like 6-7 months, somewhere along the lines of that, I have lived a relatively boring life, especially in comparison to summer of 2025. A lot of people love to talk about summer 16 and talk about how it was the greatest summer ever. I'm gonna go on record here and say that summer 16 was like one of the worst summers of my entire life, and for so many different reasons. It wasn't just like an average summer, it was legitimately bad. So, you know, I already have some negative feelings towards summer 16, but summer 25 was absolutely, okay, hold on. Going into last year, there was so much shit that had happened from the months of like February to May, June timeline of 2025, right? Some of that stuff being absolutely fantastic, and then some of those things just being absolutely gut-wrenching. And it's been a year at this point, so I can be vulnerable and say that one of the things that sort of, dude, this fucking wind, the camera's gonna pick it up. I might have to move inside. It might just have to be the way that it is. But I could be vulnerable and say that one of the things that kicked you know, this series of events off was just an absolutely gut-wrenching, shattering heartbreak. About a year ago today, like somewhere, I think it was sometime in April, but that's besides the point. Well, actually, no, it's literally the point. But I'm not like going where I think some people would expect me to go with this. It happened, okay, that's cool. But I want to point out that any time in my life where I have been absolutely like genuinely heartbroken, it has birthed, for whatever reason, it has birthed the following like 5 to 7 months afterward, the best months of my life. And every time it happens, they get better. And to like really put it into perspective here, right? You get heartbroken, and this was only one of the things that had happened around that time. There was a lot of shit that was going on, but this was just like one of the most notable. And again, it was what kicked everything off and made life feel so eventful and like vibrant again. Because even though it was pain, I was still feeling something. To be quite honest, over the last like 7 months, I'm pretty indifferent about things. There's not that much that excites me. It feels like I'm taking ashwagandha, but I'm not. And there's not that much that really makes me like super upset. It's just, I'm just existing. And that sucks. That's really bad. But on the bright side, this is generally what happens whether I'm not feeling anything or I'm feeling like extreme fucking pain. Generally, the other side of that is absolutely incredible to every extent. But back to what I was saying about the heartbreak thing. I don't know how it works for other people. I've had conversations with people multiple times whenever they like break up with somebody or something happens, they got ghosted. It is what it is, like their situation. But with me, anytime I have been like broken up with or something like that, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is the end of the world. To like put in perspective what ends up happening is, if I can illustrate a picture of it, you're just going throughout life and everything's good. You're probably, you know, if you are heartbroken, then that means you're with somebody that you really truly care about, and you obviously have deep-rooted feelings for them. However, generally heartbreak happens because the other person leaves, and that's just the way that is. It's nothing that you can do about that. You feel like you're living up here whenever you're with this person, and there's like a biological reason that shit happens. Once you have like true attraction to somebody and you essentially go through withdrawal without them, that's what goes on in your brain. So it's literally why you feel like so heartbroken whenever you get left or something like that from somebody that you really, really care about, because your brain is reacting essentially the same way to that person and being around them and talking with them and doing all of these things as it would if it was on drugs. So that's why that happens. But you're living, you know, you're going through your life and you're with this person, you feel like you're up here, right? Then something happens, you get left, and then it feels like you're down here. And it feels like every day it just gets lower and lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. And again, I don't know how it works for other people, but this is at least how it's worked for me. At a certain point, I feel like I'm at rock bottom, and then somehow the feeling just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it feels like I just got placed into a slingshot, and there is a force pulling me as far down into the fucking ground as possible. And what I mean by that is just like grieving over losing that person, which is a totally normal response. But the second that you get over that person, you have been pulled so far down by this slingshot. The second that you get relief and realize that you're not attached to that person anymore, your life basically just gives you a free spin and launches you into the stratosphere, because you feel so great and you feel like so much weight has been lifted off of your shoulders for doing absolutely nothing, because the only way to get over that type of thing is time. And don't get me wrong, well, there's been like 3 times notable in my life where I have been absolutely shattered, and it was fucking horrible. Each time it has been worse and worse. And I'm pretty subscribed to the idea that like if you're going through something like that, you should not use any substances. Now I say that, but I don't use substances, I just drink. And I can tell you off of personal experience, the last time that this happened and I used alcohol as a way to try to get over it, it did not work. And another fun fact, the day after it happened, I don't smoke weed. I hate smoking weed. I think it's just so unfathomably unenjoyable. The day after it happened, I did not get a lick of sleep that night. So where I was at doesn't really matter. We're just gonna say that we're gonna leave that information confidential for various reasons. I just got baked out of my mind the next day. I got absolutely, that was the first time I had touched weed in like 5 years or so, and I thought that maybe if I was thinking, okay, so here was my logic behind it, right? I didn't want to think about what just happened, and I couldn't justify drinking at 9 in the morning. Again, where I was at, completely confidential, but I could not justify drinking that early in the morning. I was like, okay, now that's just craziness, but I can justify getting high. And I figured because anytime I smoke weed, I actually feel like I'm dying. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is death. This is me. I'm gonna close my eyes and they're not gonna open back up again. So in my head, I was like, okay, if I'm thinking about dying, I'm not gonna be thinking about what just happened. So I'm just gonna get unfathomably baked like a dumbass, and then I'll get through today and it's gonna be so much better. Nah, that was actually like the polar opposite of what happened. I got so fucking high and I was sad at the same time. I can't think of a mental feeling that's worse than being high and sad at the same time. I didn't even know that those things could coexist, but they can. But the only difference is I was sad, but I physically couldn't move because I was so high. That's like, it sounds like I'm exaggerating this, but that's not the case. It was that bad. I mean, like how high I got. I hate it. I hate smoking weed. It's horrible. And I can't believe that people enjoy it, to be quite honest. Where the fuck was I going with this? Dude, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Either way, following that event, when I got over the situation that had happened, I felt better than ever. I felt absolutely incredible. I felt literally, probably, arguably, the happiest I've ever felt in my entire life. Now, granted, there was some other outside factors causing that as well, so everything just kind of piled up. Like, it was like, okay, a bunch of bad shit piled up, and then following that, a bunch of good shit piled up. And then it felt like I was living on the moon. Like, it was fantastic. And then the cherry on top, it was summer. And that means it was sunny and the weather was hot and I had time to go and hang out with my friends and get into reckless shit. I don't know what the timeline is of people watching my videos, but How to Black Out Part 1 was the start of all of that reckless shit. And that's why I took a break from drinking and going out for like a month and a half leading up to it. Oh, I remember what I was saying now. Oh my God, thank God, thank God. To preface this a little bit more, throughout my life, and I believe I've talked about it on my channel before, but throughout my life, I have chased highs, and I don't mean off of like drugs or anything like that. It's just throughout my life I've experienced more and more and more and more and more and more, and eventually the more things that I experience, the more that the baseline happiness meter has to move up in order to keep up with the lifestyle that I'm living. So if I do something that puts my brain up here and the baseline is here, after I do what's up here, then the baseline gets moved up to here, and then if it's up here, then it moves to here, and so on and so forth. That might make sense. But for example, when I was in high school, like the coolest thing ever was showing up to a party that my parents had no idea I was at, or drinking alcohol underage, hypothetically, in a different country. Those were all things that were like super, super fun, and everything felt super vibrant when I was doing those things because they were new experiences. And then after I graduated high school, like a few of the most notable things from high school would have been like my senior year prom and the senior prank that I did, and one other thing, but I forget what it was. Probably like smoking weed for the first time or something. But then I graduated, and then eventually it was like, oh shit, let's hypothetically sneak into bars and use hypothetical fake IDs to get into these bars now that my friends are in college. And then you do that, and then after that, once that starts to get a little bit stale, then it's like, oh shit, let's go to the club for the first time. Let's go to an actual club. You do that a few times, and now that's the new norm. And then you get introduced to cars, and you start driving the cars, and you start experiencing the cars. Oh my God, this is a new high. Now the baseline's moved up even more. Then my friends started getting married. Both of those weddings that I've been to so far were arguably some of the best nights of my life. Literally. Like, the amount of dopamine that was going off in my brain, especially at the one that I was at most recently, last year, right? Days blend together at this point. I was genuinely I was so happy. It's like the first time I was happy. Like, I was in the moment and I was actually happy. And then a couple other things followed that, and I was still happy. And then I got my heart shattered. But then to bounce back off of that, then I ended up taking a trip with one of my friends. That was How to Black Out. That was one of the best nights of my life there. I wish I would have filmed more of it, but I didn't. That's just the way that that goes, because when you're absolutely plastered, you forget to film. So I'm gonna try to alleviate that problem the next time I do something like that. All I gotta do is just not take 14 shots or whatever I did in like an hour and a half. regardless, experienced that. And then my birthday last year, that was another extremely notable night. That was the first time I went to the casino. I filmed it and everything. That was awesome. Blacked out at the casino for the first time, making more money than I've ever made in my entire life, so I just didn't give a shit. I could have lost all the money that I took there that night and still been perfectly fine, but I didn't. And now I've experienced all those things. And there's people out there that have literally been to like fucking Dubai and they don't have this problem. So I don't understand why I'm having this problem right now. The whole end idea of what I'm stating here right now is that all I really do is just go to the gym and lift, and yeah, that gives me a pretty consistent high for the most part, like 85% of the time. But there's not really anything else right now. Well, actually, there might be something on the horizon in the next month and a half or so, and that's gonna be a trip. But aside from that, I don't really have anything that I'm like really truly looking forward to right now. All right, truth be told, I just rambled for so long, and I want to say that I got a good bit carried away, and I started to just go way off into la la land and not make any sense to anyone. So I'm gonna go ahead and just like low-key fresh start this. I'll probably cut in like a little bit at the beginning. And what I was saying was, last summer, that is what had initiated some of like the best times of my life, is this extreme negative, and then it was on the flip side rewarded with an extreme positive. But this time around, this year, it feels weird because I don't have anything that is an extreme negative right now, mentally, like that. Everything just kind of feels, it all feels super consistent, which is what I've chased for a really long time. But now that I have it, I'm like, shit, I gotta artificially induce some chaos here. Like, I gotta do something, because there's nothing besides the gym, which can only go so far. And as much as I love making content as well, and I do get a high off that, I am honestly still chasing an even higher high. And the only way to do that is for me to go out and experience something that I haven't experienced before, or something that I've experienced not many times in my life. And then it's like, okay, we'll go do that then. And it's like, dude, anything like that would cost me a fuck ton of money that I don't have. Like, the first thought that comes to mind is like, okay, let's hop on a jet and get back down to Tampa, Florida, and just go absolutely crazy. It's not an option right now. And a lot of my friends have actual responsibilities now too. So there is something on the horizon. There is a trip planned on the horizon. It's not anything super crazy, but I will be making it crazy just for the love of the game. And a lot of what I've said so far probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people. They would probably view, especially what I was saying about heartbreak, like that's nothing but a negative. And while that's true, it can be nothing but a negative. A lot of people will try and cope. Most of the time, there is positives on the other side of it. And you also learn a lot about yourself throughout that process. And I just go back to that, like I keep on going back to that. It's like, dude, like, anybody that's watching this could be questioning some things, but I just go back to that because it's like such a raw, real feeling. And again, there's not really many things that make me feel something that deep, whether it be good or bad. The next best thing that I could think of on the flip side of it, since that would be a negative feeling, would be going to buy a brand new car, not a regular car. That would probably be like the equivalent, well, not the equivalent, but the literally the polar opposite of the heartbreak. All right, if I'm being 1,000,000% honest here, I was just gonna straight up not post this video. I tried recording it twice. I don't know which one I'm gonna use, just because I got so far off track from what I wanted to talk about. And it also, to me, it comes off as like kind of a dark video, which I'm not a humongous fan of. I like people coming to my channel and getting entertained, whether it's through the gym or they're laughing about something or anything like that. It's a very broad statement, but I stand on that. And again, I don't want it to be that way. I don't want this video to come off that way, but I mean, maybe it will. Maybe it'll help somebody. Who knows? I mean, that's just kind of the way that it works. I guess at the very least, this is like a very raw video. This talks about like real emotion, which is something that I stray away from in my videos for multiple reasons. But I mean, fuck it, there's worse things out there, I guess. And I mentioned it earlier in this video, I've been posting every week for a little bit now. I think with the exception of 1 week. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that. At the very least, I can let my thoughts roll out freely. That being said, pretty much the only way to come across this video is because I honestly don't think there's gonna be even a sliver of short form content that I can make out of this video. Oh, fuck. I don't know. I'll watch this video back, see how I feel about it after I'm editing it. And if I really hate it, then this shit is not going anywhere. Because again, it's not like I hate the video. It's just like, again, it kind of comes off as a little bit dark to my standard. And I tried to articulate every single thought that I had the best way that I possibly could. But again, my brain just goes to a billion different places at once, so it's extremely hard for me to do that for an extended period of time. If I took like some Adderall or something, it would be so much easier. But anyways, that's all that I got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys made it all the way to the end, remember, drop a like, and if you're new, subscribe. And I'll be back next video, normal. God knows what it's gonna be. I say normal, I have no idea what my next video is gonna be.